welcome to the Northwest Treatment Vidcast.
Hello, everybody. Jessica, what are we talking about today?
Hi, Léa. Today, I believe you were going to take the lead on explaining reframing as a tool for us to use.
Yes. It's one of my favorite tools. I love it, and it drives other people crazy.
Always a plus.
I know. So reframing, the simplest explanation I have to give you for that is a way to help create a different way to look at something. So most times, a lot of time, we have a hard time seeing things from other perspectives or seeing how anybody could interpret the situation as any different than how I saw it, right? Like that's a thing I have because I am as a human being self-centered.
We all
which is a good thing. But this is a tool that we use, especially in counseling, to help people kind of see it from a different perspective. And the best way I have to describe it is imagine you have a Rubik's Cube. And so on my end, I see the pattern of green, red, blue, yellow, white, right? And all of the different colors are going to be in a different pattern. And it's very easy for me to then assume that Jessica, who's on the other end of the Rubik's Cube, is going to see the same pattern. Right. And that's very typical, especially when you have children that are under the age of 8 or so. Like my son right now, he has a hard time understanding that I see things differently than he does.
Correct.
And then what happens is that with time, you'll be able to then fully understand that Jessica is going to see a whole different pattern color, and I have actually no idea what it looks like on her end.
Right.
And then I'm going to see mine. And the reason why this is actually very important to have is because sometimes we get stuck in our own minds and we get stuck in our feelings. And it's very difficult for us to be able to come forward and see how anything could have possibly occurred that would have been a little bit different. Like, have you ever had that experience, Jessica?
Well, yeah, you definitely need to have the ability, hopefully, to take a moment and step out of where you are and be more aware of what's going on for other people around you. It's very similar to a topic we dealt with a little while ago that was about, being aware of communication skills.
Right.
And how what you hear, if you're not careful, might be something you were expecting to hear or not expecting to hear. Mm-hmm. And therefore you need that extra time to process something, because we can't really stand in another person's shoes and experience, but we can try to be more empathetic and open to that idea.
Exactly. And so one of the examples I have from personal life is I went to court with a client, and a client was being actually getting their parental rights back from the state, and the state was in the process of starting to shut down their case. And we walked away from the meeting, and I turned to my client and I said, "Isn't that exciting? Aren't you excited?" I was having a hard time because they looked really down. And my client was just like, "No, I can't believe they said all those things about me." And I stopped and I went, "What did you hear?"
Right.
And it turns out that because they had been in there at the office and everything else, they had just been stuck in there, and they could not reframe at all what they were possibly hearing. And so they ended up taking that and just twisting it on its head, essentially, and putting it back down. And so I was able to help them be like, that's not what was said. Let's go back and look at this again.
And we often will do that by hyper-focusing on negative things. You hear, you often, when you were growing up, would hear about the compliment sandwich. Say something nice, then if there's a constructive criticism, and then something else nice. Mm-hmm. And our brains do hyper-focus on negativity that we perceive towards ourselves. So we throw away the 90% good stuff. Right. And really, really focus on the one thing you told me that I'm not good at, and then I'm obviously this horrible person and my life is over. And we then catastrophize that situation.
So one of the things I also want to point out very quickly is, for those of you guys that are therapists out there, is you have to be super careful when you do this. Reframing can feel invalidating for a client.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times another word I have for it is like silver lining things.
Right.
Well, this happened. Well, at least this didn't happen.
Right.
And it's just like, you have to be very careful on how you do it. And sometimes it's an appropriate time to do it, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just have to let things be as they are, and then you can work on reframing later on.
Right. It's kind of the sympathy versus empathy thing.
Right.
It can be a very good tool, but you have to know when to use it, and you can't just blanketly use it all the time.
Exactly. And so we're going to link 3 articles down below if you guys want more information about reframing. But essentially, reframing can help you at the very end of the day. What I like to just remind everybody is reframing can help you change from having a no good day to a pretty good day.
Sure.
And so with that, we wish you to be well.
Thanks, guys.